So recently here, I got a brand new monitor, and I don't know exactly how to feel about it right now. It just feels different, right? So, like, forever, I've been playing on a 1080p monitor at 144 hertz, and that was great for a long time, but I figured it was time to upgrade. I now have a 240 hertz monitor at 1440p. I feel like it feels different, but I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, like, coping and hoping it feels different. Now that it's not raining anymore, does this look any nicer? Is the quality any better? That was kind of my hope. I was hoping that this would make my video quality just at least a little bit better. So, you know, IRS, if you're watching, this definitely classifies as a tax write-off. This is a business expense for the I'm Shram 2 business. Anyway, though, that was a strange intro. Welcome back to some more of my survival world. Hope everyone's having a great day. Last time, I built up this observatory. Well, this is my barn. Hold on. Just behind it is my observatory. Look at it. I like it from this view right here. Yeah, look at that. I built up this last time. Also, I had my boy Etat join me on the world to design the interior. I'll run up there quickly to show that off. But I really like how this build turned out. Still a huge fan of it. It's been, I want to say, like a little over a week, maybe 2 weeks now since I built this. And I'm still a massive fan of the whole thing. I also did decide to throw a little bit of azalea leaves kind of sprinkled about. Simply Knight told me to do this, actually, because I showed him this build before it was released, just to kind of get his opinions on it. And he said he liked, like, the moss gradient and everything going from the moss to the birch to, like, the sandstone and whatnot, but he just suggested that I maybe throw some leaves. I was a little bit hesitant to throw some leaves because, like, it is snowing up here, and I feel like this doesn't make too much sense. Like, I feel like the azalea leaves are not really supposed to be here, but it's whatever, dude. It's Minecraft. Who actually cares that much? The interior, this is exactly everything that Etat helped me with. You know, huge shout out to him. I'm so glad he was able to come on the world, and we spent like 3 hours designing this room. I think it's pretty revolutionary, honestly. Like, I can't believe he came up with it. Okay, this is the actual room that he designed, and I think it looks really, really good. Huge fan of this whole interior here. This is so much better than what I could have done. And look, it's my parents over there. Look at me. Have them hung up. Yeah, so the interior, it looks fantastic. I love this. It's very colorful in here. Looks like it's been, you know, like lived in or at least explored a good amount. Like, it feels lively. Etat also gave me this fantastic idea for this book, Visitors of the World. So I'm going to have everybody sign that, whoever, you know, I get on the world next. I'm going to have to bring Simply Knight back to actually sign his section, but it's whatever. I'll get that done. But I think that's an awesome idea for that book. I didn't even point out the actual, like, use for this building. This is my map room. Can't believe I just kind of brushed by this, but here's the map of my area. Look at me. I'm right there. I can't stop looking at this, man. I mentioned this last time, but, like, I've never made a big map like this. This is the first time I've ever done this, and I just love what it looks like. The area looks fantastic. I can't wait to fill out, like, everywhere else around here. I think it's going to be awesome. Even, like, the retaining wall looks cool. Like, it frames out the whole village super, super well. Maybe, like, since the map ends up here, kind of perfectly, honestly, right after the forest, maybe I can add, like, another little border right here, so then it looks like this whole thing is just one contained village. I don't know. That'll be cool. That'll be cool to kind of experiment with. Today, though, I want to go ahead and get some iron to start. I am, like, completely out of iron. I have 17 iron nuggets to my name right now. So that's not good. The first thing I would like to do in this video is fly around in these big mountains around here. I'll probably head back towards, like, spawn that direction. Head into the mountains, mine up a whole bunch of iron for a little while, and just, you know, restock. And then the main thing that I want to get up to today is I want to start a new project in this world. I have spent the last 1,000 days in this world, or the first 1,000 days in this world, building up this village. And I'm really happy with my progress and everything, but I do think I want to finally start on a new area. I'm not going to go too far away. I think I'm just going to go a little bit past this forest, and I want to start constructing something in this flower forest biome. It is a bit horrible to look at right now, honestly. I've been gathering up a ton of trees in this area this whole time. And also, the terrain is, like, awful. So I do have a lot of work cut out for me in this area, but I think that's fine. I should be able to get the terraforming done today, and then I'm hoping just to add one building, just to kind of start the whole process here. The only real plan I have for this area is that I just want to make this the home of my flower farms. So we're probably going to make just like a flower village, flower city. It's going to be very colorful, I think, to kind of show off like what's going on here. You know, like my main starter area, the roofs are pretty colorful, but the, you know, wall designs aren't as much. They're pretty basic. I kind of want to make these houses very, very colorful. I'll have to figure out the theme and the design and everything at some point here, but that's the base idea for right now. I'll move on to that then once I get a whole bunch of iron here to start out this video. But I am really excited to start a new project. It's always fun making new houses and coming up with new color palettes and designs and whatnot. It's always cool branching off from, you know, what you've been doing in your worlds for a while. It's time to introduce the new YouTube members. If you guys aren't aware, there's a link in the description of my videos to become a YouTube member. If you become a Shram, you will be named a block in this world and put in this building right here. The new members for this episode are Ali Mac. We have Connie, or Kaney, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. We have 8 Me Fodena, and we also have Jace LH13. So welcome to the YouTube member hall. I really need to expand. That'll be something we do soon. Also, the buttons are so tiny on the item frames. You can barely even notice that's there. With the YouTube members named, though, let's take Ghost on a journey back towards spawn to go gather up some iron. I don't think I'm going to fly to do this. And while I'm gathering up this iron, I'm going to use this time to answer a couple more questions. It's been a few episodes since I've had a Q&A segment in one of these videos, so figured it was a good time to bring it back. And we're going to start here with Kathy Shaw. They ask, what's the worst aspect of being a creator? And this is a tough question for me to answer because, you know, being a content creator is awesome. I love that I'm able to do this and actually make some money just playing a game that I love playing anyway. It's honestly so cool. But if I had to pick something, it would be that if I don't work on videos when I have free time, I always feel so bad. I feel like I'm letting people down. I don't think this is just like a me experience. I think this is a pretty common thing when it comes to creators, because I've heard other creators talk about this. I'm not sure that if this is going to be like a relatable feeling if you don't make videos, but pretty much like whenever I'm spending my free time like not working on content, I just feel super guilty. And I've definitely been getting better at kind of mitigating this feeling. Something that's helped me a lot is just trying to set a more strict like recording schedule. Just so then, like, if I just sit down and make sure I'm doing some amount of work on my video, if later that day I don't end up getting to work on it again, I don't feel as bad because I at least did something. It can even be something just as light as working for like half an hour on something, just getting an intro recorded or getting a part of the build done. Just something small, just even small goals like that can add up in a pretty big way. And that's helped me kind of fix this feeling a little bit, but I still get it every so often. So I'd probably say that's probably the worst thing about being a creator here. Next question here is from Trixie Talks a Lot, and they actually have 2 questions. They ask, how do I film my videos? Do you only do segments you know you're going to put in the video, or do you film all of the gameplay and just squash it down a bunch? And 2, what's a tip you can give to a person wanting to start making videos on Minecraft? The first part of that question, I think I've answered this before, but it's fine. I'll re-answer it. I don't mind. I just record my entire session. So I'll usually play for like 2 to 3 hours at once, sometimes longer, sometimes much shorter. But that's probably about the average, like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I'll just record the whole thing, and then I just go in later and just cut it down to whatever I want. I know there are creators who do it differently, but this has always just worked for me. I feel like if I try to record only what I want to record, I'm going to forget a lot. And sorry, Ghost, I don't have a lead. Forgot to bring one, so you're just going to chill there. And as for the second part of that question, the biggest tip I can give to people who want to make content, this doesn't even just pertain to Minecraft. I think this can be more generalized. Just make videos that you enjoy watching. This has sort of like always been my answer to this question, because I've gotten this quite a few times over the years. But what I mean by that specifically is just like whatever Minecraft videos you're watching, if you want to relate it to Minecraft, try to make videos that are similar to those. Don't like completely copy the creators or anything like that, obviously, but just kind of give off the same vibe. Just because, like, if you enjoy the videos you're making, you'll just naturally make better videos. You'll be way more passionate and way more motivated to work on this stuff because you like it. If you're making stuff only because you think it'll work well for the YouTube algorithm, or just because it's like a popular trend but you don't necessarily vibe with it, you're just not going to make good stuff. It's going to be obvious that you're only doing it because that's what you think people want to watch. I feel like there's an audience for almost everything. out there, especially in Minecraft. Like, there's so many different ways to play this game. There's an audience out there for essentially everything. So whatever you're super into, just kind of go with that. Like, for example, if you're really into my stuff, you could make like a chill survival series or something along those lines. I hope that's a piece of advice that you can actually take, and hopefully it helps you make your channel and grow. Galacticus395 asks me, do you freehand your builds or do you plan a block palette and the builds in creative first? I almost exclusively freehand my builds. In this world, specifically, I have freehanded everything. I don't have a creative world where I've had everything built first. For this world, I don't have anything like that. I do have a backup of this world, but I don't really use it. I mean, I use it for my thumbnails and stuff, and just in case anything goes horribly wrong with this one, I'll at least have you know, a world I can fall back on. But that's the only secondary world I have related to this one. I have built stuff in creative in the past, in previous worlds, but I just found that I just like building in survival. I do think I want to start getting more into creative building at some point, just to try to like make myself a better builder in general. So maybe it'll be something that I dabble with in the future. But yeah, for now, I kind of just freehand everything and just see how it goes. Sometimes that results in some really good builds, and sometimes that results in stuff that I wish I could change. And if I was in creative, I would have realized that earlier. I don't think there's anything wrong with building in creative as well, or using Lightmatica or any other kind of building mods. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Whatever process works best for you. DLMN2928 asks me, do you avoid any building styles because you find it hard, i.e. cyberpunk, etc.? Absolutely. I mainly build medieval style stuff because that's what I'm most experienced building, and that's what I think I'm best at. I have like no experience in any other build style, and I'm a little bit scared to branch out, I'm not gonna lie. That's something that I would probably want to practice in creative first. I don't think I would just full send like a futuristic or cyberpunk build style. I don't really know if I'd be able to do that super well, because like a little bit of a Shrammy lore here, I guess. When I was like getting better at building, I mainly focused on medieval by watching like Fwip and Mythical Sausage and whatnot. I mainly focused on this style, and then I practiced constantly in creative. This was like years back at this point, but I practiced all the time in creative worlds, just making houses, making like farms, making random stuff until I thought I was pretty good. And then at that point, I started making, you know, a YouTube series. Though my first Minecraft stuff really isn't like anything to write home about when it comes to the builds. I think my Season 2 Hardcore Worlds is my first like real solid builds in my opinion. But leading up to that, I practiced a ton in creative mode. So if I was gonna like change my build style, I'd probably start from the beginning again and find some creators who are really good in that style, and then, you know, go in creative, try to use some of their techniques and whatnot until I was comfortable. But this is something I definitely want to do at some point. I don't know when, but I do want to expand my my building horizons for sure. Jonathan Grider asks me, what are your thoughts on building organics, like dragons, birds, mountains, mythical creatures, etc.? This is kind of like similar to the last question. I don't do this too often. I mean, with like trees, I've been trying to build, you know, better custom trees in this world as I go. So that's something I've gotten a lot more comfortable with throughout the course of this series for sure. But when it comes to like building animals or anything like dragons or mythical creatures, I would be terrible at doing that. They would not look good at all. That's something I would have to practice a lot for sure. Next up, we got a question from Beefycraft. I am starting a channel myself, largely based on your chill vibes, but with a little more emphasis on auto farming. Do you ever get trolls in your comments, and how do you deal with them? Love your channel. Thanks for being you. Hey man, thanks for the comment. I appreciate it. Do I get trolly comments? Yeah, all the time. Pretty much every creator does. Definitely gotten less since I've switched over to Minecraft, like from Madden. Madden comments were tiring to read sometimes. I got a bunch of really good ones. I would say like 95% of my comments on Madden were super, super positive, but then there was like 5% that were just strange, or people would get really upset that I traded away their favorite player, or they would get upset that I was really bad at Madden. So that would happen a lot. But on these videos, my comments I would say are like 99.5% incredibly positive, which is a ridiculous rate, by the way. I appreciate you all so much. Like, the positivity on this channel is insane. But I do get the handful of trolly comments or mean comments. That's something that you're just gonna have to get used to. I mean, it sucks to say, but you're always gonna get those bad comments. I feel like it's actually a decent sign when you get like the random one-off like trolly mean comment, because I feel like that kind of means you've made it to an extent. That to me tells me that my videos are reaching like not my target audience, which is kind of what you go for when you're making YouTube videos. I will definitely say, you might have heard other creators mention this before, but it's absolutely true that, you know, I could get 150 of the most positive comments I've ever read in my life, but then I'll get one mean comment, and then I'll think about that one mean comment so much more than any of the positive ones. It's not something I'm actively trying to do. I just can't get it out of my head. That's something that absolutely happens. I still kind of remember every time that somebody's told me one of my builds looks awful. It's happened more than once, and I remember each of them. So it may be rough at first, but, you know, it's something you just gotta persevere through. Just try to think about all the positive comments you're getting, and you should be all right. The last question I'm gonna answer here is from Caleb Williams, 2587. They ask, if you can bring anyone on to do 5 episodes of this series with you in a multiplayer style, who would it be and what would y'all do? I'm gonna interpret this question as it's someone that I probably won't be able to get on this world. Like, I think it would be super fun to have like Simply Knight or ETAP back on for like 5 episodes, but I feel like I could probably do that, you know? Like, I think if I reached out to them, we could probably coordinate something else. So I'm gonna interpret this question as like someone who I don't have contact with, and kind of like a dream person to get on the world. And no, why did I say dream? I didn't mean that. Not dream. I don't want him. And my initial reaction, probably an easy answer, is B-dubs. I would love to have B-dubs on this world. And as for what we would do, I would just want to build with him. Just straight up. I would just want to see his whole process at like a first-hand kind of glance, and have him talk through everything with me and critique my builds and all that stuff. I feel like that would be so useful for me. I think that would make me such a better builder if I can get someone of his caliber on this world. Throw out an honorable mention to Mr. Matt Ranger. I think the same exact thing would apply to him. If he came on and critiqued all my builds and told me what I could do differently next time, that would also be super, super beneficial. But again, he's someone who I've like contacted, you know, in the past. So I think that's why he wasn't my first answer, because that's a more realistic possibility for sure than B-dubs. But yeah, man, B-dubs, if you're watching, I know you are, definitely, because you watch my stuff. Come on this world. I have a good amount of iron now, though, after all those questions. We have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, nearly 9 stacks of iron, and also a little bit of emeralds. Not bad. Let's head back home. Back home now, I'm going to start smelting up all of this iron that I just gathered, and then I think I'm going to start the terraforming project for the episode, because this is probably going to take some time. I should probably get, you know, started on this before it's too late into the video. All right, so I went ahead and gathered up just an entire shulker box here of grass and some dirt. Hopefully this is enough. Honestly, it might not be, because it is a really big area. But I should get a decent amount of grass and dirt when I'm just cutting away too, and, you know, just as I'm terraforming. Let's take Ghost on a little bit more of a journey as well. It's kind of far away, just too far to run comfortably, I feel like. And I just don't want to, you know, keep using rockets, so Ghost it is through a little forest. Oh. Hold on. Let me put you back here, Ghost. You shouldn't have to see this. Alright, back to what I was doing. We're gonna have the pathway eventually come through this way. I don't know if I'm gonna change, like, the path block material as I go into this new build site. I don't really know, but the pathway's eventually gonna kind of wind through here. And then I kind of just have to figure out where I want the landscape to kind of start. So I'm gonna park Ghost over here for the time being. And now it's time just to place a whole bunch of dirt. I am kind of thinking that the landscape should probably come up to like here, like where the path is. That means I'm just gonna have to cover up this entire like little field here, but honestly that shouldn't be a huge problem. I just don't want to dip it down and then bring it back up again. I feel like that just won't really look right. So I'll probably just have the path come through this way at this same level. Maybe I'll change the elevation just slightly, just to add some variance. But then once I get over to here, I have to figure out what to do. Man, this is such like a hilly area with a lot of little gaps. This is going to take some brain power, but it's fine. I think I'm just going to do this in like one big time lapse, mostly because I think terraforming time lapses just look really satisfying. So let me cut it away to that, and then I'll be back to kind of explain my thought process. I think this would be a really good time to show a little bit of like a before and after for this area. So this is what the area looked like before I did any terraforming to it today. And this is what it now looks like. I did a lot of work in this area. Dude, this took so much longer than I thought it was going to, but we're here, okay? I think this looks a ton better than it did before. It's going to be far easier to build on this terrain, you know, than the original one. And I think I can make this area actually look really, really sweet over the next couple of episodes. I can just imagine a few, like, huge flower fields in this area, kind of just going up the little hill that we built, and I think it's gonna look really nice. I think that'll help tie together everything. Today, though, I just want to start building some houses and just kind of get, like, the build style down and the color palette and everything like that. I just want to get that all kind of figured out in this video here. And then, you know, the next couple of episodes, we can do a lot more building in this area. I did also add a retaining wall over here. I don't know if I'm going to completely keep this, but I just kind of tidied this section up because before it looked terrible. There was just really bad terrain generation over here. Just decided to push everything back and then just throw a retaining wall on here that I can detail. I feel like having a couple houses up here would actually be a pretty decent idea as well, especially up on this layer up here. Obviously, I'll put like a staircase and everything, but like if I have houses up here and you can kind of just walk out of the front door and see like a ton of flower fields in this area and like the rest of the village, I think that'd be a really cool like point to view the whole build from. So that's the main idea with this section. That's kind of why I decided to build this. I don't know. We'll work on this probably in a future episode. I think for today, the buildings that I'm going to throw down here, I think they're going to go up over here. There's a pretty big flat area at the top of this, and I think just starting back here will be perfect. I imagine having just a couple houses like kind of touching, like a nice little like row of these like really colorful houses that I have in mind. I don't think I've actually gone over like the specific like build style I'm going to be going for in this area so far. I know I mentioned that I'm going to be making like a bunch of colorful buildings, and that's still the case, but like I was looking up specifically like Italian villages, like really colorful Italian villages, and I found a few photos that I think look really cool. A lot of these buildings are like super close to each other. They're pretty much on top of each other. The elevation here is much more extreme than, you know, what I put down here. Like this is super flat in comparison, but it's fine. I still think we can accomplish the same idea. I should also mention that there's this creator named Gorillo, and I stumbled across his videos while I was like 80% of the way through recording this episode. So I didn't like initially take inspiration from him, to build up this Italian village. But after watching a couple of his shorts and, watching him build up his Italian city, I'm sure I took some of his techniques just without even completely realizing. So I just wanted to give him a shout out here. His Italian city looks fantastic, by the way. I really liked that little short series he had. I would certainly recommend watching all of his shorts on his Italian village. It looks so good. And I've never really built in a style like this before, so this is going to be a new experience for me, but I'm excited to try to tackle this. I think we can do something pretty cool today. Just ran home here for a second. I'm just going to grab a couple temporary blocks. I want to map out the few buildings we're going to make today. It's going to be like one like connected building, but it'll probably be like 3 or 4 individual houses. None of these houses are going to be too big, I don't think. And that's going to be a challenge for me as well. I normally build in a slightly large scale, I would say. Like I don't build in like a massive scale, but I imagine the houses will be like a similar size to this little cabin. And I think this cabin looks nice, so I feel like I could definitely do this. I'm just still a little worried. I'm so used to just building like in my like pretty big fantasy medieval style that anything else is just a bit anxiety inducing. And like I mentioned, the build for today is going to go in this area somewhere. I'm thinking just like against the back of this like little hill here. So let me just throw down a little bit of netherrack, just to kind of map out a few of these houses, just to kind of show you what my idea is. So this is like the approximate size that I'm thinking about for these buildings. And they're all touching, as you can see, so like maybe each of these is a pretty small house, but I feel like it does make up a pretty decent sized structure when they're all put together. I'm hoping I can accomplish like my vision here, but what I'm thinking about in my head is going to look really, really cool. With all of these buildings being like a different color for the most part, probably a different roof color as well. I might reuse some roof colors and roof shapes and designs and whatnot like throughout this whole place, but I want to make each building feel pretty unique. They're just all going to be like in the same sort of build style, like I'm probably going to have a lot of like vegetation in this area, a bunch of flowers kind of scattered around each of these builds, probably a bunch of like balconies and overhangs and whatnot, just to add, some more uniqueness to these shapes, because for the most part, these shapes are pretty bland, like mostly just rectangles. This section over here, I guess, is a little bit unique. Like, it kind of juts out on the right, but, you know, like, for the most part, these are going to be pretty basic, like, shapes. I just need to come through, like, with the texturing and, like, with the other exterior decoration pieces to really make them pop. I'm thinking of using, like, a bunch of, like, different terracottas and whatnot and just other colorful blocks that I can think of. I don't have a great, like, block palette in my head right now, or else, you know, I would go over it. So what I think I'm going to do is just kind of, like, look around in my storage room for a little while, decide on a few blocks to go gather, and then I will be back when I have, you know, found a color palette that I am comfortable with. I got a lot of materials. All 6 of these shulker boxes, pretty much entirely filled with building materials. This one has a little bit of food in it, but like for the most part, these all have building blocks, even this chest a little bit. Also, I have like 4 different color palettes in my head that I want to use for these buildings. So one of these buildings I want to make like teal. So I got some of this stripped warp stem. I think that's going to look pretty cool. One of them I want to make yellow. I have a little bit of yellow concrete powder, but also like an entire shulker of concrete powder materials and a little bit of yellow dye right over here. One of these I want to make red, which I think I have. Yeah, I have some red concrete powder, or red terracotta, excuse me, and also some mangrove wood, which is somewhere. Here it is. Not too much of it, but I shouldn't need that much. I think that'll be fine. And then the last color I want to make out of like sandstone. So like these blocks here, smooth sandstone, pretty similar to that building over there, just barely in render distance. But I want to make it like a similar color palette to the walls on the observatory. The roof will be a different color, but we'll get to that. I also have a shulker box of mostly like stone blocks and just like other gray blocks as well. I think I want to have some of these. I don't know if it's going to be all of them, but at least some of them. I want to have like a stone first floor, maybe like a staircase on the outside of the house that goes up to like the colorful second floor. I think that could be kind of cool. Then I also have just like a bunch of roof blocks. Got some deep slate in here. I want to use some of these woods for the roofs on a couple of these, and then also some of these bricks and some granite and stuff like that. So have a whole bunch of stuff over here, and now I kind of have to start putting some blocks down. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just shape out how these buildings are going to look. So I think I'll probably just throw like the main color for each of these, just build up like a nice big box for each of these houses at the height that I want, just using like one block, and then we can kind of come back through and texture with everything else that I gathered. And this is going to take a good amount of like trial and error for me to get the shapes that I want, so let me just go ahead and try to figure that all out on my own, and then I'll be right back once we have just something down here, and then I can kind of talk about my thought process afterwards. Here's a look at stage 1 of these buildings, right? Completely undecorated. They're just boxes. But all I was trying to do here, right, was just accomplish the shape. I just wanted to get like the right heights for all these buildings, and I think they look okay. Also got to keep in mind that, you know, the roofs are going to make these get a little bit taller, but, you know, I just wanted to get the wall height down first. There's also a little bit of like height variation within a couple of these, like the sandstone one and this teal one over here. There's a small section off to the right of each of those where the roof is going to kind of swoop down a little bit more. I think it should add a little bit more character, you know, to this block of buildings. At this point, though, I just want to fully work on one of these, and I'm going to start from left to right, so we're going to start with this teal one. And the first thing that I'm going to do is just get the texturing down for these walls. So I'm just going to start with the front over here. I'm actually going to work in a little bit of moss up top. I think that'll help blend this in a little bit better as well. With this moss, then, of course, we can do like the normal texturing that I would typically do when it came to like stone blocks with moss, just everything touching the moss. I'm going to have some mossy cobblestone, and then everything touching the mossy cobblestone. I think I'm probably just going to use a regular cobblestone. Yeah, something like that. And of course, we're going to have to do it on this side as well. And then we have a nice little moss section. I might even break in some walls into this too to make it look a little bit more, you know, run down, but that'll be like the final touches. Now to blend this into the teal blocks, I think I'm going to take this moss and then use some of this copper, the waxed weathered cut copper. From there, we're just going to go into some regular cut copper, and then probably into the stripped warp stem just from there. Then I just kind of match this on this left side as well. Looks a little bit too symmetrical, I think, even though it isn't. I'll probably have to tweak this left side a little bit, but this is the main idea, right? I think that looks pretty cool. I'm taking an even further step back. I think like the further you go back, the better this is going to look. Yeah, I think that looks solid, actually. Might be a lot going on because it is pretty small, but I feel like this works. Yeah, just added a little bit more texture variety as well. Just a small patch of the stripped warp stem, and then just another little moss section over there on the top right. And I think that's looking pretty cool. And then just a little bit more on this side wall just to wrap that around. And then, you know, that small section right there in the corner. And I feel like this wall is mostly good. I mean, I still have to get to the back probably, but let me just focus on like the front facing section, and then I'll, you know, move on to the back here. But I think this is a pretty cool start. I like the texturing now on, you know, the teal section. Let's continue working on the stone. So along with the moss, I also have just some other stone texturing blocks. Like we have some andesite. I want to work some of this in near the top just to have a little bit of a highlight in here. And then towards the bottom, I'm going to work in a tiny bit of tough. Not too much. Yeah, just something like that. Something pretty light there on that right corner just to darken up a little spot. Okay, cool, cool. I think this is kind of where I want it to be in terms of the texturing. The next thing I'm going to do here is work on the roof. And I think I'm going to use jungle. This is a type of wood that I normally don't use, but let me see what I can do here. I've been struggling with this roof for longer than I would care to admit. Also, a wandering trader spawned. What's up, man? Pale hanging moss. I don't think I need any of that, do I? I'll buy some just in case. I'm pretty sure I grabbed some, but I might as well. I got 12, sure. This could even look cool, like draping down from the roof. Maybe I'll actually use this, I don't know. Anyway, okay, let me talk about this roof, dude. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. So, I wanted to make this roof not peak up that much. I'm trying to keep it pretty flat, and that's been difficult for me. Like, I usually have my roofs peak up a lot, as I'm sure you guys are all aware of. So that was just giving me a bit of trouble just off rip. But I came up with this design, and I think I like it. Like, it doesn't peak up too high. It's very interesting. It's definitely very different from what I'm used to, but I feel like it doesn't look that bad. Like, from up here, it looks pretty decent, you know? Like, that angle looks solid, I think. So, I think I'm gonna stick with this. It just looks weird. There's, like, some upside down stairs here, but I don't know. It gives it a cool shape. I do kind of like it. This could definitely be something that I change as I continue going, but I like it enough for now, just to keep for the time being. Admittedly, I'm having kind of a hard time commentating this section of the video, but we roll. I just made so many jungle signs. I did not want to make 87 jungle signs. I guess let's start using them. I want to wrap this building, at least this level right here, in these signs to kind of break up the stone into the warped blocks. I just got to figure out if I want to do it on that layer or the above layer. I think it's going to go on the above layer. And then, of course, sections like this where I can't put like a sign here and here, I'm going to have to do something else. I'll probably just throw like some leaves or something just as some decoration there. But let me put this all the way around. And let me take a nap first, because I'm not trying to blow up. But now that that's kind of all wrapped, I think it definitely sections it off a lot better. And then to break it up even more, I'm going to put, I think, like a little balcony in the front here. And this is going to be an incredibly small balcony. But it'll be fine. It'll accomplish what I need it to. And all that is just like giving the front of the building a little bit more, just like shape to it. So just something like this on the front, where it'll have like obviously a way to get out here. But this is all it's going to be. Very, very small. And I'll make some kind of just very small covering. It might even just be like a couple slabs like this. And then I could even put, I don't have any on me, but I could put a fence on either side of that to make it look like it's a little bit supported. Yeah, just something like that. That looks pretty good, actually. I think that's more interesting than a window. I will throw an actual window down here at the bottom, and I think I'm going to use mainly fence windows in this entire area. I think that'll just look cooler than glass. Then I think we're going to use a little bit of warped trapdoor action, and then put 2 signs on the back of it to kind of look like some window shutters. That looks pretty cool. Of course, I'll come back through here with like a lot of foliage and stuff. That'll really bring this thing to life, but the shape of this is looking pretty good. Now I want to start working on the entrance, and I don't know if I want it to be like a staircase that goes up to this level and then the entrance is actually up there, or if I just want to enter on the stone level. I do kind of like the idea of having a staircase. So let me figure out how this is going to work, because I think this could actually look really cool. I think this actually looks okay. It's a little bit weird, but I like it. I think it, again, just makes the house look a bit more unique. I think this first house is actually coming along pretty well. It could definitely use, like, you know, some more external details, like some leaves and some flowers and whatnot, but we'll certainly get to that. Just for, like, the base level of decoration, I think it's pretty good. I like the shape of everything. I like that we have a balcony right here. I don't normally make many balconies, so I think this is actually going to be a cool addition, especially once we start building up the rest of this area. Being able to walk out the front of the house, like from that second floor, is going to be awesome. But yeah, now I have this little staircase going up to the top. This is going to be the entrance to the house. There's no floor or anything on the inside, but we'll work on that at some point. And we also have a little jungle wood, like, railing kind of going all the way around. I do have this section down here now. Like, I could even put another door down here, but I don't know. Could just end up being nothing. Or just, you know, a way to get to the basement. I'm really comfortable with where this house is at the moment, and I think I'm comfortable enough with this build style to just kind of replicate this throughout these last 3. So let me get working on that, and then once I'm back, I can throw on the final details and, you know, of course, build the tree for the episode. Alright, let's take a quick look at what this looks like just as you turn the corner here. Oh yeah, dude, that looks great. That's exactly what I was going for. I love how it's like mostly hidden until you really walk around the corner and then it kind of just, you know, appears. Really, really happy with these couple of houses here. These houses are still not completely done yet. I mean, this one doesn't even have a door or a door up there, so that needs to be done. But in general, I just want to add some more just exterior decoration to these buildings. I want to add some like leaves and some other pieces of decoration, especially like underneath these overhangs. I'm kind of imagining these are just like little shop fronts or something like that. Figured I could probably put some like storage back here. That'll look pretty cool, I think. And then just on this one, just same kind of thing. Maybe have some like tables, a little bit of storage, just selling something out of their house. I don't know. Not sure what the lore is just yet, but you know, maybe we'll figure that out one day. And then also, obviously, I need to build the tree for the episode, and I would like to put in just some kind of pathway that kind of connects these all up. I think I'm just gonna focus on the pathway for this area only today. I don't think I'm going to connect it up to this pathway over there. In one of the next episodes, honestly, most likely next time, I'm going to go through and like map out this whole area with some temporary blocks and figure out where the pathways are going to go for sure. So I don't really want to mess with that one just yet. I do know there's going to be a pathway, obviously, that kind of like wraps around this way. To begin here, I'm just going to carve out a pathway, and unfortunately all of these dirt blocks are just going to fall down, but it's fine. It's going to make like a 3-wide pathway pretty much everywhere. I'll probably just end it like right here. Yeah, that's fine. That should be good enough for now. I'm going to come through with these bricks and granite for now, though. I think this is going to be like the main path block for the area. You probably also noticed in my inventory, I have a whole bunch of coarse dirt and, you know, some like mud bricks, some packed mud, some brown mushroom blocks. I want to work those in as well, but I think I'm going to incorporate those the closer we get to the buildings. Whereas the main pathway that people are going to normally walk on, it's going to be these blocks here. I could also even work in the occasional piece of undyed terracotta. That looks really good in this block palette too. Yeah, something like that, just every so often. So let me just work on filling this in, and then I'll be back to show you what I'll do with the coarse dirt and the mud bricks and packed mud. All right, so we have this now all completely filled in. Let me just kind of pop into free cam, see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. I think that's a decent shape. It's a good enough like width as well to kind of walk through this comfortably. I can always tweak this a little bit here and there if I need to, but that should be good for now. Now, next up, I just want to take away pretty much all of this grass next to it that leads all the way up to the houses. So again, I'm gonna have to go collect all this, but hey, it's fine. All right, now that there's a pretty big gap here between the new pathway and the houses, let's start working in these mud blocks and also the brown mushrooms. So the idea is to go from this color palette all the way to the coarse dirt, which shouldn't take many blocks. These blocks are already pretty similar, the granite and the coarse dirt, but I just want to work in a little bit of this lighter brown to make the transition a little bit nicer on the eyes. This isn't going to be like a super strict gradient either. I'm probably going to mess around with like the block orientation because these blocks are all pretty similar. But the idea, you know, just going from the granite, we'll have a little bit of packed mud, then probably some of this mushroom block, and then the mud brick slabs. And then we're going to end off with the coarse dirt over here as, you know, as close to the house as we can get. And then it'll look something kind of like this going all the way around. I think it's going to look really cool, and especially underneath these little overhangs. I like the coarse dirt look underneath like trading stalls. So I think this is going to transition the pathway into the environment super, super nicely. So let me work on filling all of this in, and then I'll be right back. Now popping into free cam here just for another second again. And now it looks like this. I think it looks really solid. I like the way these blocks work together. I think they transition well into one another, so, you know, I'm pretty happy with this right now. And walking down here at ground level, it doesn't look too jarring. There's a lot of blocks going on here, but honestly, I think it looks cool. I think this is going to be just, you know, the entire pathway that I make today, at least. At least we have, like, the design down, so I can pretty easily extend this anywhere that I need to whenever we make new buildings in this area. But now, let's shift focus. I want to just start working on the extra details here for the exteriors. And I am absolutely horrible at commentating myself doing exteriors. So, honestly, it's probably in everyone's best interest for me to just cut away until I'm at a point that I'm happy with, and I'll come back later and just kind of discuss what I did. I'm doing that quite a bit here in this episode, but honestly, I think it helps the flow of the video a little bit better if I just was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for the next, like, 20 minutes. It would probably drag on. So let me cut away real quick, and then I'll be back with probably a fully decorated exterior for all of these houses. I think the exterior of these buildings is now 100% done. Actually, okay, I should say 99.999% done. The reasoning for that is I need one stair to put above the door over here, and then we're done. I just don't want to go all the way back to my base to get one, like, bamboo stair or birch stair or whatever. So I'll do that in a little bit. But, you know, the exterior here, I think it looks really, really good. I'm very happy with where it's at. It's very green. I used a lot of foliage, a lot of different pieces of vegetation, a few different kinds of leaves. I even kind of worked in some of the pink leaves. Don't know if those work too well. They do stand out quite a bit, but I don't know. I'm going to keep it. I think it's pretty cool. Just a couple other flowers kind of peeking through. We have a couple pieces of grass now kind of on the pathway in front of the houses. And I think it's looking real nice. And of course, a few lanterns to kind of light up everything. So now, with this completely done, let's go ahead and work on the tree for the episode. But as I was looking up, like, different Italian, you know, style houses and whatnot, I keep seeing these trees. They're very tall, they're very slim, and they're everywhere. I see them all over the place. So I'm going to try to work a couple of these into this area. I don't know if it's going to look great in Minecraft, but I'm going to try. They look really simple to build. Honestly, it's literally just, like, it looks like the trunk is just straight up and then just leaves surrounding it. They get a little bit thinner on the top and then a little bit thinner on the bottom, and then they fatten up in the middle. I'm going to put one of these trees over here. At least one, maybe two. I don't know. But let's start with this one, and let's see what kind of design I can come up with to at least make this look decent. So I'm just going to start with a whole bunch of these mud brick walls. I don't want them to be, like, huge. They do kind of tower over the houses, though, huh? I have a reference image pulled up on my second monitor. So let's kind of go that high, and then just, like, 4 of those. Pop into free cam for a moment. It's a bit taller than the houses. This should work out pretty well. Also, a really cool feature of free cam, which I'm going to use for this tree here, is if you hit the free cam button, again, once you're already in free cam, so if you just hit F4, which is mine, and then a number, you can lock that camera to that number. So now if I hit F4 and 3 again, it'll take me right back here. And that'll stay there for a little while. Actually, don't know how long. Probably until I override it again, or until I, like, quit or something. Really wish I brought some scaffolding. I wish I would stop forgetting that. But all the way at the top of the tree here, I'm going to work in some moss. I might switch out some of these for regular leaf blocks, but I want the moss on the top because I think it'll look really cool with the tall grass being, like, the actual top of the tree. So I'm going to work that in here. And then now we can kind of just start going down the tree, I guess. And I'm worried this is going to look, like, too bulky in the game. But let me see what I can kind of do here, I guess. I do have these azalea leaves. I'm going to use that for everything that the moss is touching. And then I'll eventually bleed it into just some oak leaves. And then as I'm going down, I'm trying to get just a little bit wider here, but I'm going to have to kind of wrangle this back in the closer we get to the bottom to match the reference images that I'm looking at here. All right, does this look just completely awful? I guess it's not, like, the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's really not great. Kind of looks like a cactus. I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish these trees exactly how they look. I might have to modify this just to look better in the game. And I think that's going to start with, like, stopping the leaves at a certain point. Like, I think that already looks better. I'm not a good enough tree builder to, to make the trees I really want to go for, but I still think I'll be able to come up with something that at least resembles these. And I'm definitely going to start by, like, airing this out a little bit more. There's too many leaves near the bottom. Yeah, so I think this looks way better now. I think this is definitely just more Minecraft friendly. There probably is a way to get the design that I was looking at before. Like, I'm sure a more experienced tree builder could probably do it justice. I just can't. I still think this looks pretty solid, though. I'm happy with this. Still think it fits the area pretty decently. It's quite similar to the birch trees that I've been building, you know, back by my starter area, but just, you know, with a different color palette. Add a little bit more base to the tree, and I think this thing's done. Gonna go ahead and throw a sign all the way here at the bottom. Episode 17. And let's throw a lantern, because why not? Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's kind of rough with all the oak leaves in the background. Like, it's rough to kind of make this one out. But I like it. I've been flying around it for a little while now, and I think it looks good in this area. I think making a couple more of these will fit pretty nicely here. But that'll be a project for another time. I think I'm just gonna call it with that one tree for now. I did a lot of work in this episode. I'm really happy with all the progress. And, you know, I'm very excited to continue building in this new area in the new build style. And let me throw in some shaders just to show off the new builds as I close out the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.